James McGrath.
Andy Gaunce. How are you doing? Back for another episode.
I'm back for another episode. I'm excited to be chatting to you. We had a little bit of trouble scheduling this one this week, as we tend to.
Yeah.
It can't be overstated, the challenge of pulling this together with a Brit living in Minnesota and a knucklehead Aussie living in Melbourne. The timing makes it difficult, doesn't it?
You're absolutely right about the knucklehead thing. I mean, yes, you are absolutely right. It is. It's a challenge, right? I mean, we're 11, 12 hours apart. We've both got full-time jobs and we're dads and we're partners. But, you know, here we are. We got another episode out, another week. And I'm proud to say we're marching towards our 20th episode, are we? What are we on now?
We are. Yeah, this is 19.
19.
And it's funny, you know, because I was listening to Spike this week, and I don't always listen to Spike anymore, but he was saying he got to the end of the episode and he said, I feel great. I always feel great after these. And you know, it's the same for me because, you know, our timing is such that it's end of day there for you, first thing in the morning here for me.
Yeah.
And some mornings I think, oh God, can I really be bothered getting up and having this conversation? And then always by the end of it, I feel great. You know, we've sat here for an hour or so, talked rubbish about Porsches. It's brilliant. I always feel good after these chats.
Absolutely. Yeah, me too. And, you know, what also gets me going is just seeing all the feedback we've been getting on Instagram and, you know, various platforms. It's really good that we're, you know, hitting a chord, I think, with people who think like we do and are interested in the same things.
Yeah. No, it's great. And to you, our listeners, thank you very much for being on the journey with us. And as we say at the beginning of every episode, James,
welcome to Curb and Canyon.
All right, so James, do you know what? I want to start with a shout out this week.
A shout out.
Let's
do that.
So, to our good friends, let's call them friends of the podcast at Nineworks Radio.
Yeah.
Lee, Andy, Max, those guys hit 100 episodes this week.
100?
And I think that's 100, and I think that's a great achievement on their behalf. They're a cracking podcast. I love that podcast. I think they do a great job of finding the balance between, you know, banter in the same way that we do, and there's always plenty of laughs, but, you know, alongside that, you know, genuine expertise and knowledge of the brand. And their 100th episode is actually a cracker.
Oh, really?
And I love those guys. I love that podcast, and yeah, big congrats to them.
Oh, well, I'm feeling guilty now because I have not listened to the 100th episode, but I'm pretty much caught up. But I agree. I love their podcast. I love all the videos. You know, for anyone who doesn't know, Nineworks was a brand that's only really come out in the last sort of 18 months. The major influence and creator behind it is Lee Sibley, editor at Total 911 magazine, good mate of mine, and he is, you know, he's an interesting guy. He's a clever guy. He's cool to watch. He's, you know, you can't fault the guy, and he knows so much about the brand. Plus, he has fantastic access to the industry, you know, to Porsche, to the brand, to the creative forces behind the brand, people in the industry. Andy, of course, who's constantly wrenching away in his garage on that gorgeous red 911 of his air-cooled beauty. What does he call that thing? I forget now. Red Riding Hood.
No. It's Pablo or Manuel or
it's something like that, isn't it? I don't know.
Because don't you think there's an interesting thing in the Porsche world and social media where there are these cars that emerge through Instagram and suddenly become kind of Insta famous and have a real moment. And I think Andy's 993, when he did, you know, the build he's got on that, and when he put the stripes on it, that car just became the car of the moment.
It did, right?
It's such a cool car. Yeah, it did.
Yeah, that's an iconic 993, I think, now.
Agreed. So I have a theory about Nineworks because the intro to their podcast, I reckon it's either A, Lee Sibley's wife, or B, Lee Sibley himself simply pitch shifted, because when you listen to that intro, the cadence, the delivery, the accent, everything is exactly the same as Lee Sibley, but just half an octave higher. And I thought, has he literally just gone into GarageBand and just gone, okay, I'm going to record this intro, but I want to make it sound like someone else, so I'm just going to dial up the pitch. So Lee, we want to know, if you're listening, I want to know what's the story behind that intro.
Yeah, I want to know. Like, I've got a couple of mates who have been with their significant others long enough that they both sort of, they talk with the same cadence, they talk with the same rhythm.
Yeah.
Like, even Ruthie, she started to come out with all sorts of Scouse and British expressions, like she's been, coining them hilarious. For I know, for years. But yeah, I got a feeling it's Lee's missus. I think it is. But I want to know now. Lee, come on, spill the beans.
So do I. And if it is, I want to have dinner with the two of them, because I feel like it'd just be like, oh my God, holy shit, one at a time, please.
Well, the real test would be to introduce both of them, quote unquote, onto the next pod, and we'll see if Lee can switch between voices as we ask him different questions.
Maybe Lee's missus doesn't exist. Maybe this whole thing is a clever ruse to make it seem as though he has a significant other.
Oh, poor Lee. Throwing him under the bus every opportunity we can. But what a cracking guy.
Yeah, indeed. So what's news with you, mate? How's the 996?
So the 996 is it's on the road. It's a lot of fun to drive. Every time I walk out into the garage and see it, I've got to hold myself back from hugging it and kissing it and squeezing it on the ducktail. But I've just been wrangling with this sort of idea of, is it finished? Is it not? I mean, no car's finished, right? No sort of creative project comes to an end. You kind of just get to the point where you think, all right, it's good enough. maybe you don't. I don't know. Yeah. There are perfectionists out there, right? Of course. But even Martin Scorsese said, and I always throw this one up because it makes me sound super clever, but I'm a big fan of his films. He says that he's never finished one of his movies. He only releases them. So he gets them to a point where he thinks they're good enough, and now I'm up against the budget and the time or whatever. And let's just get them out there. Let's get them out there. It's never going to be perfect. And I kind of feel like that's where I'm at with the 996. I've still got a couple of things to do. I've got to replace the ABS pump. And that little thing, which is about the size of a can of Coke, the part alone is $7,000. $7,000 for the part, and the labor to install it is like $300. It's so annoying.
That's outrageous.
Oh my God! So I'm trying to find a used replacement, for a couple of $100 instead of several thousand. But apart from that, I think Project 996 is basically done and dusted. It's great to drive. It looks fantastic. I've done all of the major things I want to do in it. And now I'm just sort of adding these little refinements, which if I'm not careful, I can just easily go too far. But I just...
You could.
Yeah, and arguably I went too far with my 991 because when I put the 3D second generation 991 lights onto the car, as much as I was glad to have the tail lights, I kind of felt like maybe I crossed the line a little bit there, stylistically. So yeah, I'm kind of there. I've just added, I've added some of those grill protectors for the front from Radiator Grill Store. A couple of $100 actually makes the front look a lot cleaner.
They're great, yeah.
Yeah, I think when you look at the GT2 RSs and you see that they come from the factory with the grills, it amazes me why the rest of the line don't have those actually from the factory.
I think it's crazy.
And I've also bought myself a couple of leather pieces for the interior. My gear shifter's pretty beaten up, so I've got a replacement leather, boot, which is black leather with blue deviated stitching, and the same for my handbrake handle. And I'm not convinced, to be honest, because they were only $50 each. And I'm really suspicious of leather products that are cheap. You know what I mean? But at the same time...
Particularly when it's leather.
Yeah, I know, exactly. And especially for a car like a Porsche, and even more so if they offer customization options for that price. But at the same time, it was just too good of a deal not to test. So if it turns out to be rubbish, I'm not in the hole too much. But I think the Project 996 is done. I'm going to enjoy it for the summer. I've got a couple of people interested in buying it. I know my partner Patrick wants me to get rid of it so we can get his investment back, because the two of us went into it. Well, it's no longer 50-50 because I've spent so much more on it. But originally anyway. What I have been doing though is trawling the web for my next potential project car, and I've gone from looking at used 997s and any other sort of 911 I'd be interested in, to the Copart world, where I'm looking at GT3s that have been had their front end completely smashed in, and current bids for them are like $5,000.
Oh, wow.
And, could I take on like a project like that? I don't know. I mean, would you take on a project like that?
Do you know what's really interesting? Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Spoken with such confidence.
Oh, God. I can think of nothing worse.
Really?
Well, see, to me, because what happens with me is when my car has an issue, particularly an issue that forces it off the road or is significant enough to be problematic, it brings me down into some sort of funk. I find it a real struggle to get my head around it. I hate that I'm constantly having to deal with it. It's one of the challenges, obviously, with an old air-cooled car, is that there's always something to solve, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. But it's when there's something big and you didn't anticipate it. To me, that gets in the way of enjoying the car. Now, here we are a little bit different because our seasons are such that, unlike yours, we don't have driving season and then wrenching season.
Yeah.
So from that perspective, I understand that you could consider buying a car that you're going to have on blocks in the garage through the winter months and wrench on it through the winter months with a deadline looming, and that is, the melting of snow in spring,
right?
And you're finally able to enjoy it. But that said, that's a big undertaking, and I fear that there would be elements within that you couldn't possibly predict in terms of cost, in terms of damage. I don't know. I'm not saying don't do it, but boy,
don't do it.
It's a big project. Yeah, don't do it. Because, here's the thing, right? Because I think about you and your channel, and thinking about the 997 that you had and then the 991, what you were doing were wrenching on perfectly functioning cars.
Yeah.
And modifying them to suit your taste, modifying them to make them you. And that was great because you were still able to then get out and enjoy them. And it meant that you could wrench on them all year, but still have the driving experience when the summer months were around. So look, I don't want to talk you out of it. If you think that you could take on a beat up, destroyed GT3 and bring it back, then I wish you Godspeed. I look forward to watching the videos and recording more podcasts, because you sure as shit will not be driving it.
Absolutely. No, I think I think, seriously speaking, I wouldn't take on a project that big. If I just think about the finances of it, and I mean the unknowns, I think, are definitely a part of it. But
the unknown finances, that's it. What's the snafu that's going to get you?
So I thought I planned for Project 996 really well. I found a car. I'd learned about its history. I thought I knew about its faults, all of its faults, and I didn't ultimately. I had a certain budget set aside, and we're talking about $10,000 to $15,000. We're not talking about loads and loads of money like you would spend on a GT3. I mean, that's still a significant amount of money, of course. But I was dealing in that kind of 10% up or more, or 50% more or less on a 10 grand budget is a lot different than 50% on top of what would probably be, I don't know, a $75,000, $80,000, $90,000 budget.
Yep.
For a GT3 project where the front's all smashed in and it needs some serious work. So that's quite a gamble, and I don't think I'm up for it.
I just think there are so many costs you couldn't anticipate going into it.
Yeah. So I think you're right, but what do I do next? I don't know. I can't buy myself a new car until I've lost 100 pounds. And I'm about 7 pounds into that journey, which is the deal that I've got with
a little way to go then.
With Ruthie. Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe I'll just be driving the 996 until the spring, and maybe by that time I can get into something new. But I don't know. People are talking about how the market is softening a little bit, even though the prices are ridiculous. I've been looking on cars.com, and there's some good data there that, you know, they sort of show you the trends of some cars, not all of them. But the GT3s have come down, you know, maybe 10 grand off 200 grand or 250 grand in the last couple of weeks. The 991.2 turbos have started to come down a little bit. I mean, they're still extortionately high, above and beyond what you were paying for them a couple of years ago. But I don't know, if I sit around for another year, maybe that be in a better position. I don't know. I want somebody to come along and say, you've done such a great Singer/Gunther work job to that 996. Here is $1 million check. And then I won't have any problems.
So we're having some audio challenges with our phone connection. But just so I'm clear, you just compared your work with the work of Singer and Gunther works? Is that what?
Not even vaguely. Not even vaguely.
You've got "everything is important" scrawled in crayon across the back wall of your garage.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's me and my 996. But hey, I'm dying to know, how is the GT4? I kind of want to know about the 964, but that's old news. And I'll be honest here, that car is dead to me now. All I want to hear about is the GT4.
Well, I'll quickly report that I'm picking up the 964 either today or tomorrow. The steering rack has been replaced. The power steering pump has been sorted. It has also been to the auto electrician. The ABS warning light that I was getting, the classic 964 problem, has been diagnosed and resolved. There was some corrosion on one of the leads leading into that pump, which was causing it to intermittently not send a signal. So that's been diagnosed and resolved. So happy to be having that come back into the fold. But yes, so last weekend I had my first proper drive in the twisties with the GT4.
Oh, baby.
Yeah, which was exciting. And Sunday morning I met with my pals the way I always do. And it wasn't raining, and we've had a lot of rain here in Melbourne, so it was great to wake up and think, hey, I've got roads that are going to be dry this morning. This is going to be fantastic. So we met for coffee nice and early, 6:45 in the morning. We were on the road by about 7:15, and we have a standard route that we take, and recently it was on my rally I did with Ryder over Easter. Our usual route has, 15-20 minutes of lovely twisties, but with a 60km/h speed limit. So it's a built up area, so you don't really speed. And I've recently discovered a new way to get to the fast twisties and avoid that. So it's not one that everybody is really familiar with. So I decided, well, I'll lead for that section, and it has a higher speed limit. So I let out on that section, and I had a guy named Trev behind me. Now, in the years that I've been driving these cars, I've always made it a point to never have Trev behind me, to always be behind Trev. Trev he's quick. He knows what he's doing. He's the guy who had a Gen 1 Boxster that outran a couple of Lamborghinis up Reefton Spur.
Oh.
He used to drive the wheels off that Boxster, and he recently bought a Gen 1 996 GT3 X Cup car, which had subsequently been set up for tarmac rallying, and now that's his car that he takes out on the weekend.
Oh, man.
So fair to say, it's he brings a gun to a knife fight at every drive. And so Trev was behind me, and I thought, you know what? I got this today. I'm in the GT4 now. Let's see Trev try and keep up with me. Trev kept up with me just fine. And then, but the road was dry. It was great. And I should just pause for a moment and rewind to say that a week prior, I'd bought new tyres for the car. So these tyres were still very green. And once we got to the proper twisties, I thought, okay, I've got to get on it here and make sure I'm not holding up the pack. And I had, let's say, a couple of moments where green tyres on a damp road do not provide the grip one is expecting. So I had on a tight right hander. I had all four tyres have a little slip moment. It wasn't too dramatic because, look, I want to say that my skill stepped in. I think what stepped in was a whole lot of technology that Porsche has built into this car to save me from myself. But it did it in such a way that was completely unobtrusive and actually made it feel as though it had been the heroic little bit of counter steer that I applied was what saved the day.
That's amazing.
And then I also found that a few corners later, just getting a little bit optimistic on the throttle in second gear coming out of a corner. Again, just the rear stepped out on me and I thought, okay. And so after that, I actually went, I took myself to the back of the pack after that. and I thought, what I don't want to be doing is working out what the grip level is on these new tires in the wet with people following me and therefore feeling pressure of not wanting to slow them down. So the first drive was, it was great in that it was so good to be driving this car in the twisties and, having a good time in it. But I must confess that with the road conditions being, let's say, suboptimal and the tires just not being scrubbed yet, I didn't have confidence after those two slides to really extract the full performance out of the car. But I'll say a couple of things. The often referred to issue around the long gearing in the GT4, for me, based on the experiences I've had in it so far, is a non-issue. It really is. I had it up high in the rev range in second gear on multiple occasions, and that's when you really get to hear the thing howl when it's the sound is unbelievably great. It is so fantastic, and I didn't feel like I was constantly driving and only getting up to 5,000-6,000 RPM. I was able to redline that thing out of corners in second gear many, many, many times, and that was just brilliant. So great. And in fact, when I had the 991, I researched it, and the gearing on that 991S is very similar. The ratios are very similar to a GT4, and nobody really ever talks about it with the 991. I don't know why it's such a focal point in every review you ever see or read of the GT4. But would it be better if it was shorter ratios? Yeah, sure. But it's not a. From my perspective, I didn't find it an issue at all. And it's a lovely, lovely place to be. It was a cold winter's morning. I'm in this beautiful space. The car feels new, but it has this purposeful feel to it that you don't get in a bog standard Carrera or something similar. Yeah. It feels tight, taut, ready for action. So, look, I'm hoping to get in the next couple of weeks, just a run in the dry to really scrub those tires in, and then I've got a full day rally coming up 2 weeks from now that I've planned and organised. So I'm hoping for some good weather on that, and that's going to be a really great first proper full test of the car. But so far, all things point to it being great. All things point to it being. I feel connected to the car in a way I didn't with the 991 already, so that's a good sign.
That poor 991 just didn't get any love. That car didn't get any love, and the emblems were just like ugly on the back. I feel sorry for that car. I really do.
The emblem did it for me. I honestly think that was the straw that broke the camel's back. I really do.
If only you'd found robots that could have installed that for you properly.
Oh, that's it. We're not robots, mate. What a dick.
There's a backstory to that for anyone who hasn't heard. In fact, maybe we should put the link to the episode where we talked about that emblem on the back of your former 991 in the comments below. But here's a question I've got for you with the GT cars. Look, we all know that Porsches are fast. It's part of the brand. It's part of the draw for the car. We know that they've got, a heritage in racing, and they're designed to be fast-driven sports cars.
Yep.
The Carrera, it's fast. The 4S, it's fast. But it's never really given me any of the Carreras I've driven. They've never really given me that feeling that I could really get myself into trouble. There isn't really anything I could do with this car that I wouldn't be able to pull myself out of. The Turbo S and the GT3 RS that I've been lucky enough to drive, both of those cars have been amazing to drive, but they've also scared the living shit out of me, because I've sat behind at some point of that wheel, gripping on, thinking, I could do something really stupid right now, get myself into a whole lot of trouble. Do you get the same kind of feeling with the GT4 over, because you've driven the 991, you've got a 964. And why is that different? Is it because the GT cars are built different, their suspension's stiffer, they're more powerful, or is it just because you're in a GT car and you think, oh, I'm going to hammer this and just see how fast it can really go? Or a combination of the two? I don't know.
That's a really interesting question, because, my 991 was a Carrera S, which is approximately 400 horsepower. And if you did a launch in that car, to me, it felt quick. It was very, very quick. This car is 385 horsepower. I think, I've not looked at this, to be honest, so don't quote me on it, but I think the power to weight is probably quite similar to something like an S.
Okay.
But there's two differences. To answer your question, to me, the car feels quick. It feels very, very quick. Even though I know that the 0 to 100 times, for example, are not that great. They're 4-point-something seconds. That's partly because it's a manual shift, obviously. But it feels quick for two reasons. One is the Carrera S that I had, you had to work it so that once you got the revs up, and then suddenly all hell broke loose. And if you were doing a launch, the very first moment of that was kind of like a soft launch, and then boom, it was almost like there was turbo lag. It's maybe overstating it. But with the GT4, what I'm finding is, and I think it's partly because of the manual gearbox, but also I guess the setup of throttle bodies and the like, it's so responsive. So you just, as soon as you squeeze the throttle, there is an immediate impact in a way that I don't think I felt in the Carrera S. So there's that, and then added to which, because there's less sound deadening, and you've got the engine right behind you, the intake noise and exhaust noise are such that, you know what it's like. If the car's loud, it seems faster, and so you just get. There's a lot of theatre in the acceleration in the car. Yeah, so, you know, when I drove my friend's GT4, it scared me a couple of times. And this car has scared me a couple of times. But you do quickly adapt to that. And I don't think it's the kind of car like a Turbo S, for example, as you point out, where, you know, you can be doing something really dumb really quick. I think it's just the right amount of power for a road car. I imagine if I was tracking it, I'd probably think, oh, it could do with an extra 50 horsepower. But
right.
For a road car, for what I need, it feels quick. It definitely feels quick. As I say, it's responsive as hell. And the theatre of it, it's even just being able to be in, you know, what feels like a current model Porsche GT car, but be shifting, even what that does psychologically within the experience of accelerating and decelerating in a car, it brings more to it and makes it feel more intense. So therefore, again, that creates for me a sense of speed that perhaps overstates the speed, but it's absolutely there. And don't get me wrong, you could easily fuck yourself up in this car. Very easily.
Yeah, I'm sure I could probably find a way to do it. But yeah, it's interesting because I was looking through, all of these salvage cars on Copart, and I was amazed to see how many 992 smashes there are. And there are
really?
there are just as many GT cars on there as there are regular Carreras. Now, of course, the price difference is obviously a lot different. But I mean, one I was looking at was a 2022 GT3 Python Green. I mean, it was specced out absolutely beautifully. It has, I think, less than 1,000 miles on the clock. The front bumper, gone. The rear bumper, gone. The wing, hanging off. It's just some person probably took it on the wrong canyon roads in California, spun it out of control, hit the front, hit the back. Lucky they didn't kill themselves. But, God, it's incredible just to see. There were just as many GT3s to choose from as there were Carreras if you wanted to go and get yourself a smash.
Look, do you know what I wonder with these cars? And you see it, if you get on YouTube and you could look up supercar fails, and so many of these supercar fails are cars leaving Cars and Coffee and then just mounting a traffic island or, and honestly, I think so much of it comes down to tires. When I got the car, it had the Cup 2s on it, and they are, when warmed up, the level of grip they provide is amazing, but when cold, they're terrible. Yeah. They're really terrible. And I think, all of these cars come spec'd with Cup 2s, and everybody thinks they can leave Cars and Coffee and light it up and they're going to have control. And, everyone thinks they're going to be able to hit the canyons having just cruised down on the freeway, and that's going to give them enough heat in the tires that they can get to turn one and tip it in at full speed.
Yeah.
Nuh-uh. You really have to respect there is a process to get those tires to temperature so that you can then extract the benefits from them. So I really think that, these high 500 plus horsepower GT cars with tires on them that require a process to become, to reach their optimal operating temperature, I think a lot of people miss that, and I think that's why you see so many of these cars wrapped around poles or smacking into Armco.
Just like the thousands of YouTube videos I've seen losing myself at 2:00 in the morning instead of sleeping. I love those videos. Hey, speaking of social media, I got a curious follow the other day on a relatively new platform, and it's called TikTok. And it's not something we've ever really talked about before, but I'm on TikTok. I didn't know you were on TikTok.
Well, I'm on TikTok. I had a crack at TikTok. I don't really like it, but I'm trying to get my head around it more, to be honest, for what I do outside of this world, in the business world. But what was interesting was I looked up your TikTok, and because I knew you'd mentioned it once or twice that you'd had you dabbled, let's say. And when I opened your TikTok feed, it was really weird to me. There was a lot of shots of old Mercedes interiors and a lot of,
really,
I don't know, Czechoslovakian or a lot of language that wasn't English written over the top of these videos.
Really?
And I thought, what the heck is James doing? So I backtracked, and there are two auto amateur feeds on TikTok, both featuring your auto amateur artwork, but one of them is, well, maybe you're the imposter. Maybe this person in Eastern Europe, wherever they are, maybe they are the real auto amateur James McGrath, if that is even your real name.
Are you kidding me? I didn't know that.
I'm not. I'm dead serious.
What?
There's someone ripping you off, mate.
I did not know that. So YouTube has got a pretty cool feature where if anyone has ripped any of your content, you get to see it. And there have been a couple of times when people have taken one of my DIY videos and rebranded it and slapped it on their website, and I've been able to take it off pretty quickly with YouTube content control. One of them actually got like 500,000 views. I was like, damn, I don't get numbers like that on my channel, for God's sake. But anyway, no, I didn't know that about TikTok. I'm gonna have to check that out. So TikTok's one of those things I got involved in, during the pandemic. There's only so much to do when you're in lockdown. I thought I'd give it a go. My goddaughter here in the Twin Cities is on it, and I think at 19 years old, I think she said even she was potentially a little bit old for the platform. But I gave it a go, and I'm now. I think I spend just as much time flipping through TikTok as I do Instagram or YouTube, to be honest. Instatalkgram, yeah. And let's, Snapchat. I'm not even going to go there. I don't touch Snapchat. I don't know about that. But I don't know. I find the content on TikTok it's easier to digest in that it's the user. I think the user experience is just better, or I prefer it. Like I'm on YouTube a lot, and I'm looking at the crash videos and the idiots getting chased by the moose they're hunting in the woods kind of videos, any kind of dumb stuff like that. TikTok seems to be able to just like present you with 100 times the amount of goofy content that you can find on any other platform. And I guess that's what kind of sucked me in. But some of the videos are just so kind of, I don't want to say addictive, but you see so many people like copying the same thing. You kind of feel like, hey, well, I want to have a go at that. I want to do that dance routine. And I'm absolutely not going to be doing a dance routine on TikTok.
We're not going to see you flossing, are we, James?
No. But I gave it a go. I've got maybe, 20 videos on there, and I've got a couple of hundred people following me. And I think I've posted a video like once in the last year maybe, but it was interesting just to see Last Rasp has started following you. You sly devil.
Well, yeah, I did a bit the same. I decided to dip a toe in the water, I guess 18 months ago, but worked out that what I thought would be successful and interesting to people in TikTok isn't, at least in my space.
Yeah.
And there we go. But my MySpace page is going off. So, and look, to be honest, I kind of figured I don't want/need another distraction in my life in terms of another thing that'll just have me, sitting there staring at my phone.
Yeah.
I mean, Instagram's an interesting one. I lament the consistent changing of the platform, and the thing I really lament about Instagram is how it has made content, particularly photography, that is done to such a high level become something that once upon a time you would have wanted to print and put on your wall, and has turned it into something that you just flip past, and maybe you hit the love heart and then just keep going.
It's pretty sad.
Our ability to not stop and give these, let's call them pieces of artwork, their sort of due consideration and time is I think a little bit sad. And it's why I do love, and I know we've spoken about it before, we spoke about it with Drew, I do love actually getting, some of these books, the Luft books, the Flat Six Love Affair books, where it sort of forces you to say, I'm going to make a cup of coffee and I'm going to sit down and I'm going to consume this content with more intent. I'm going to consume it in such a way where I really want to actually take it in and spend some time with it. And that's a very different process and one that I really enjoy.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Hey, speaking of Luft, so they've announced Luftgekühlt 8 at the Port of Los Angeles this year.
Yes. Dude, I'm gutted. I'm gutted that it's in California and it's not Indianapolis. It's a little far away. It's also the weekend after I get back from Tail of the Dragon, so chances of me selling this one to the wife.
Yeah.
It's not looking good. But what a great location, I think, Port of LA for an event like that. It's big.
Yeah,
it's
they're
sweeping.
very good with the locations. Yeah, they're so clever. Do you know, it's the same for me. When I went to Universal a few years back, I had my rally the weekend before, And so I decided that there was no way I was going. I couldn't go. It just obviously didn't make sense. There was no way I could go to a Porsche event a week after I'd just done a Porsche rally. But it was actually my wife, Kath, who said, because it was Universal Studios, because of that Back to the Future connection, she's like, you got to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, this year, unfortunately, I will not be making the pilgrimage. But it sounds great, from their website. It says Sunday, October 9, friends, families, legends, and enthusiasts will once again meet in the city of Los Angeles, California, for a celebration of all things air-cooled. The sweeping port of LA will set the scene for the 8th annual edition of Luftgekühlt. I really want to go. I'm not going, but I really want to go.
Well, do you think that they've announced it late? Like we're in the middle of August and it's in October.
No, it's usually late.
Is it really? I had my plans for October sorted weeks ago, months ago.
Yeah, but look, I think with respect to it being in LA, it's almost always in LA. There was obviously Indianapolis, I think last year, and the prior year was the where was that going to be? Like Durham, I think, when lockdown kind of canned it. But LA is somewhat the home of it, and it is always that thing where they, somewhat close to the event, 2 months out, all right, it's going to be here, and the tickets drop, and off you go. So that's very Luft of them to do it that way. And I know they want to share the love in terms of having it in other cities in the US, but I do feel like California and Los Angeles in particular will always be its sort of, let's call it, ancestral home.
Yeah, and I can get behind that.
And I almost imagine that they'll do 1 year on, 1 year off. LA this year, then next year, it'll be wherever.
Yeah, I mean, I've got no issue with it being in California, but trying to plan a weekend to get out there with 6 or 7 weeks notice, it's just not enough for me, Andy. It's not enough.
I think the dates were announced a good long while ago.
Oh, were they?
Yeah, I don't know. What are you talking about? It's like a 3-hour flight for you? When I came, it was 15 hours, and I'd organised it on a dime. Well, to be fair, it was Drew that found the ticket for me, and I had to reach out to some dude to buy his ticket because he couldn't go. And thankfully, I got onto that before people really started scalping the tickets, because he could have charged me a fortune and didn't.
I really enjoyed going to Luft 7 in Indianapolis. I think this one will be absolutely cracking, just based on my experience that 1 year. Before that, though, Andy, there is there's Checked It Out in Chicago. I got a ticket for it last year and was sick, didn't get to go. This year, not only am I going, my 996 is going to be featured.
It's in the show?
It is, yeah, in and around the area wherever they park.
Who did you have to pay to make that happen?
Because
it's a 996. I'm kidding. 996 guys, just cool your jets. I'm just yanking your chain.
I hate you so much right now. I'm quite excited. There's like a preview party on the Friday night. It's coming up August 26th, 27th. There's like a ticketed event on the Friday night, which is they close down this block. It's a Porsche classic garage. There's, food and drink or whatever. And then on the Saturday morning, I've got to show up at like 7 a.m. to get the car staged. Presumably, I will have to clean it myself.
Hold up. I love the way you said 7 a.m. as though it was the most unreasonable, over-the-top I have to show up at 7 a.m. Like,
well, all right.
Like it was 4 a.m. or so. It's 7 a.m.
Yeah, I know. This is a dad of three talking who doesn't get to sleep very much anyway. But all right, let me just say,
I'm a diva.
Dude, I'm going to drive 6 hours on the Friday to get there, to go straight to an event which runs until about 10 o'clock at night, then check into my hotel, and then I've got to make my way back to the event by 7 in the morning. You goddamn right I'm a diva.
What's that? Sorry, I didn't hear any of that. All I heard was the world's smallest violin.
Well, that's going to be a lot of fun. And, I was planning on getting you a T-shirt, but, Not getting you anything now.
I take it all back.
Hey, so let's
guy.
Let's talk about video of the week. You've picked an absolute blinder this week.
Can we be honest for a second? Let's be transparent. Because when I do video of the week, I send you the show notes. I reckon this might be the first one you've actually watched.
I was going to say, you pick video of the week, send it to me and go, what do you reckon? And I usually look at the thumbnail.
You don't usually respond.
Sure. No, that's not true, Andy. I take this podcast very seriously. I do my research. I get prepared. And today, approximately 90 minutes ago, I watched that video. It's epic. Absolutely epic.
It is. So Type 7 Films, who, Ted Gashu, that the whole Type 7 thing I love. And they've done some great content. But their latest piece features Jeff Zwart. And I don't know about you, James, but I feel like, to me, Jeff Zwart is he's like a treasure in the Porsche world. He's such an iconic figure in so many ways in, the work that he has done. He's created the photography for some of the most enduring images of all time when it comes to the world of Porsche, including the shot of a 930 going over a crest with its wheels off the ground that was in the background of every episode of Seinfeld. The guy is amazing. Plus, he's a race car driver extraordinaire. He's won Pikes Peak. But beyond all that, he just seems like the best dude in the world.
Does seem like a nice guy. Yeah.
For real, right? And yeah, I just love this video. I think they've done such a great job. The storytelling against the backdrop of the Colorado Rockies is just, so beautiful. The way they capture his career, kind of spanning those different things as a photographer, a commercial director, and a racer. I just love that. And the footage itself, it's mega.
Another Californian taking all the glory, though. What is it with Californians and air-cooled Porsches? And I'm jealous.
You're never happy, are you? You just go.
I'm not happy today, Andy. No, I'm not happy. Look, people are just stealing my content on TikTok and taking me to the cleaners. I'm not happy.
That's true. That's true.
No, so I got to say, I thought, even just take the content or at least take the subject matter out of the way. The way that video is shot and produced is epic. You feel guilty for watching something of that quality for free, I find on YouTube. Maybe I've got a chip on my shoulder because I'm a content creator and I feel underappreciated at times. But wow, absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I agree. And look, it's interesting, right? Because, in fairness to us solo creators, we do these things where it's, we go out and try and work out a way to get a drive-by shot without any help. And I think YouTube is full of people being really clever and creative and finding ways to make their content look as though it costs more than it does. So, don't be too hard on yourself. Whereas I know you watch the end of this and Type 7 have, there's a reasonable production team putting these things together, but that is not in any way to diminish their achievement within that space. Like you say, you think about they've got, you see him driving his 993 RS, his 914, his 356, and they've treated each of those really differently. And there's just this cinematic style, and I want to call out Luke Huxham, who directed it, and then the DP, Mike Koziel. I just think that cinematic look is just stunning. And shooting against the backdrop of the Colorado Rockies doesn't hurt, but they've captured it so beautifully. And then the edit as well. I think the edit is just so well timed, so well paced. It's brilliant. So hats off to Robert Fournette who did the cut. Like you say, you feel bad for getting that sort of content for free.
Yeah, definitely. And I almost feel like you've spoiled this segment, to be honest, for future pods because the bar is so high now. It's not like the average YouTube bozo that we're picking out to be video of the week. I'm not throwing anyone under that particular Jay Reid shaped bus, but, it is what it is. I said it. It is what it is. So what's next? We got some questions, haven't we? Listener questions.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did have a listener question from actually a good mate of mine, Anthony over here, who is one of my good pals, who asked if you could. So the Porsche's special wishes department, right? This is this thing that kind of you hear about here and there. Apparently, getting access to it is about more than money. You've got to know someone who knows someone. You got to be a big deal. So, for example, Spike and Zuckerman have ordered their GT4 RS through the Special Wishes department, which gives them access to all sorts of paint and the like. But my understanding is you can go way beyond that. They will build you basically anything, including previous gen cars is what I'm hearing. So
really?
So I'm just going to imagine for a second that that's right, whether it is or not. And so if that were the case, James McGrath, what would you get?
Oh,
what
easy.
Would you have them make?
Oh,
you'd have them do the Homer, wouldn't you?
Dude. 3 cup holders. No, I know exactly what I'd do. I would get a 992 scaled version of the 964 Turbo from Bad Boys. So that
that is the dumbest, most fucked up thing I've ever heard.
What? No, that's if they can do anything. Why? Oh my goodness! So look, someone like me is never going to enjoy driving a 964 or a 993 for that matter.
I love this. No, do you know what? James? This is creativity on the absolute edge. I love it. Good on you.
I haven't even finished.
This is great.
Let's just start talking about.
Go.
We're gonna layer in carbon fiber and deviated stitching and all that good stuff. But oh yeah, they can build me a 964 the size of a 992, like dimensionally. Yes, please. And then I'd probably just
what.
Get Will Smith's face on the front of it, like a big decal. I don't know.
You are literally the only person in the world lamenting the fact that Porsches were once small. Everyone else is like, oh, they've gotten too big.
So come on then, Mr. Creative. What would you get the Porsche special department to do for you?
What.
You don't know, do you? You're so creative, you don't actually have an answer.
Well, see, do you know what? So I always say, because I work in the creative space, and I always say creativity loves constraints. I like to know what I'm butting up against and what I really can and can't do. But do you know what? I don't know.
Oh, that's so disappointing. Listeners, I just, on behalf of Andy
Sorry,
Braun,
you're cutting out on me?
I apologize for just how disappointing my co-host is.
Do you know what? I would probably have them. It kind of annoys me that you did the Bad Boys thing, because I would probably get one of those built from scratch, but with a bunch of modern tech in it as well. Because my understanding is with that car is one of those cars that you never want to meet your heroes. And a lot of people have talked about driving that car, that the experience, I've heard Lee talk about it, the experience is perhaps less exciting than you think it's going to be, that it's, a bit soft, a little bit laggy. But you know what? Even for me, I've often thought that on the rallies I do, that the best car within the lineage of the 911 would be a 993 Turbo. All-wheel drive 993 Turbo, because it is so capable, still genuinely fast, even by comparison to modern day cars. So, and I know they built one of those a few years ago that was sold unregistered to somewhere in the Middle East, but I actually think I would build a 993 Turbo. A brand new 993 Turbo. I think that'd be the way to do it. I'd do it in Golf Blue. And yeah, because I love a Golf Blue, and that'd be it. That's where I'd land. I tell you what, though, I'd be interested to hear from other people via Instagram what they would do. Could they build any Porsche in history? And James, actually, as a side note, the Roof CTR, that car is actually it looks like a 964 but is bigger. So maybe that's you just got to save up a whole lot of money and get yourself one of those.
Yeah, but how much bigger are we talking? Like, I'm talking about super gulp size. I'm not talking about your grande latte from Starbucks.
Look, mate, I'm throwing you a bone. All right, I'm just trying to help.
Fair enough. You're a good lad. You're a good friend.
Well, I think we've covered some ground. What do you say?
I think we have. Yeah, that's another week. Are you getting any driving done this weekend?
I will, inevitably. Yeah. And in fact, as I look out the window, the sun is shining. So I will at some point this weekend go to the auto electrician to collect Little Green, my beloved 964. So I'm going to have, for a brief moment at least, the 2 Porsches in my garage, which will be lovely. But
nice.
I do actually want to have a drive of it because I want to feel how the steering feels since the rack has been replaced. But that said, I think I'll probably get out in the GT4 again if I can.
I'm telling you, that 964 is dead to you. You just haven't admitted it yet.
No way. No. Do you know what? So I'm already thinking, just as an aside, so I'm taking the GT4 to Tasmania, as I've spoken about before, but I'm already planning the Alpine Range Rally for early next year. And back of my mind, I'm thinking that'll probably be in the 964.
Probably. Maybe.
Yeah. Love that car. Love that car.
Well, I'm hopefully going to get out in the 996. Yes. I'm planning to drive this weekend and not do any wrenching. So the weather's going to be great. Just going to get out and smash it around a little bit. Well, hopefully not Hulk smash it around.
No, don't do that. I mean. Don't do that.
Yeah, I won't. Well, guys, thank you so much for checking out another episode of Curb and Canyon.
And also, could I just say, if you've stuck with us through this episode, if there are any moments of awkward silence, it's been because James and I have really terrible connection with our audio being on the other side of the planet from one another. And there's been a few things where I haven't actually heard if James has stopped speaking or not.
Thanks for checking us out, guys. See you in the next pod. Bye.
See you, gang.